Welcome, and we are live at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and I am so glad that you are joining us this afternoon. Going to have a great conversation here with our practitioner, Donna Davis, today, and we'll just go ahead and get started. So we will start with our welcome. Here at the Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, these are our values. We value spiritual growth and practice. We value love, appreciation, community, freedom, creativity, health and wholeness, generosity, and financial well-being. Those are the things that are important to us at the Center for Spiritual Living. And if they're important to you, then maybe you'll be a good fit. So I'm so glad that you decided to spend your afternoon with us, at least a few minutes of it. And what else do I have to tell you? Oh, about our mission and our purpose and our vision, what we're about. Our mission at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. I don't know about you, but as I look around at the world and the crazy that we've been seeing in these past months, I think that's what is happening, is that we are in the midst of global transformation. So it looks a little messy. It may look a little dirty. It may not be a whole lot of fun, but that's what's happening. It's the birth of something new. And our mission is to give you all spiritual tools to move through this transition as best as you can. And our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. That means that we believe not that people are sinners or less than, not that we don't make mistakes, we're all human beings, but in the core of who we are is a spiritual magnificence and perfection that is just part of who we are. You know, we didn't bring ourselves into this world, we were brought into it. So we came from this light and love and spirit that some call God and some call the universe, and some don't even have a name for it, but it's all exactly as it's supposed to be. And our purpose is to awaken people to that understanding and awareness so that we can claim our power. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. That means it's a world that works for you. It's a world that works for me. It's a world that works for the people and the lives that we all touch. And so, let's see. So today, our topic is the clean slate. You may or may not know that Centers for Spiritual Living is a much larger organization. We're just one of many centers all over the world. There's over 400 of us. And there's groups of ministers every year that take a Sunday and write about a topic. It's people do visioning on it. It's a theme that runs throughout the whole year. And so there were 52 different ministers that wrote 52 different talks for this year. And I was one of those. And this is the talk actually that I wrote for the whole larger organization for this Sunday. And it's called the Clean Slate. And so I am going to invite one of our practitioners, Donna Davis, to join me in this stream and this conversation today. Hey, Donna.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, doing great. How are you doing?
I'm marvelous. Marvelous.
Awesome. Well, you know, as you've been doing, you're just such an awesome prayer warrior that I invite you to do our invocation, and then I'll take myself out for a little bit while you do your thing, and then we're going to come together and have this conversation about this idea of the clean slate.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Let me take myself out here.
Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's so wonderful to be in this space with you, to be sitting and to be enjoying and to be soaking up the sunlight that is Florida. And so I'm going to invite you now to just get really still in whatever space you are in as you're listening to the sound of my voice. We take a few deep breaths. And I recognize the allness that is the one wonderful creative spark, one amazing power that moves in and through and around all things. the eternal beingness that is God. And since God is everywhere, then it is where I am sitting right now. It is the very seat that I sit in. It's the sound of my voice. It's the cells of my body. Because I too am a part of the oneness that is God. And as I breathe in God and breathe out God, I sit in this space knowing that everything is new. Daniel Nahmad says, bring it on. Everything new. And as we talk today about the clean slate, that idea that is excitement that is something new, and terror that is something new, and all of it that is the ever-changing expansion of who we are as individuals. The very earth is doing it right now as she comes back from winter. I just know that today's conversation touches lives, hearts are open, and we are beginning to recognize once again who we really are as God expressing. Spirit unfolding as me, as Reverend Cindy, and as each and every one of us. And the more we recognize this part of ourselves, the more we come from that space that is the one, speaking to the one, hugging the one, seeing the one in each and every person, in each and everything. As we encounter things in our lives, we remember who we are and realize that we are no longer separate from that which is fantastic and marvelous and creative and always turning over and always expanding and always blooming. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. I'm so grateful for my life. I'm grateful for how I show up in the world. I'm grateful for every single person that is listening. I'm grateful for those who don't even know me. I'm grateful for all of it moving and expanding together. I am grateful for God itself. And so I release this. I release all my thoughts and all my cares and every single thing in my heart to the law, knowing that the law works for the divine unfoldment of each and every person. And with that I say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe.
Thank you, Donna. As always, beautiful. What a beautiful opening for our conversation today.
Thank you. I just love dropping in like that. You know, it's just, you can just feel everything lifting off of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome to know that we can do that at any moment, moment, right? And so the conversation for today, the clean slate. It's so funny. My friend Marie had her speak. I don't know. I think she was maybe the first one in January. I'm not sure. Anyway, she asked me something about the talk that I had written, and I totally forgot. I was what are you talking about? She was like, blank slate. Don't you remember? Like, no.
Sure.
It's funny. But here we are, and it's still just the perfect timing, to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Right. So this idea of the clean slate, is for me, I don't know about you, Donna, but for me, it's exciting, it's new possibility, and at the same time, it's sometimes terrifying,
It's
right?
terrifying too.
Yeah, it is at the same time. Like it looks like the open road is all ahead of you, or the blank sheet for people who are writers, or the blank canvas, whatever you want to call it. It's just that space of newness and possibility. And sometimes it's really exciting, and sometimes it's really scary, and sometimes it's all of the above, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we are cultivating that clean slate, like doing it intentionally, or it comes on us.
Right. It's like, whammo, here you are, clean slate.
Yep. Yeah. And I feel like COVID created that for a lot of people. A lot of people had that conversation with some folks yesterday, an international group of people. It was a bunch of, it's like a dozen folks from River Phoenix Center, all of them much younger, not all of them, but most of them much younger than me, all just getting started in their relationships and getting married and having kids. And, like COVID put a giant pause on
Oh yeah.
things for all of them, as it did for me, as it has for you. And,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was not something that was particularly welcome for many of us. Right.
Yeah.
But yet here it is. And the thing that I wanted to really talk about was the possibilities that are inherent in that, right? Like whether we cultivated that clean slate or, like I said, it was put on us, we can always find the possibility, right?
But
And then
that's the thing. It's like once you get that kind of gift that says, okay, you get a do-over. And that's what it feels like to me. It's like this giant do-over that we all got. And now we have this possibility of making different choices so we don't end up in the same spot we were before. As a world, really, as a planet, we got a huge do-over. And so we can either learn from the mistakes we made in the past and keep repeating the cycle, or we can actually, start to make changes, to serve who we are now and what we want to do in the future. And that's what's so exciting about it. But that's also what's so terrifying about it, because you're so scared of going back to where you were. Like, oh
right.
man, it was terrible before. What if I make the same mistakes along the way?
Exactly. Exactly. And the clean slate story that I've told it so many times, maybe I'll give you a little bit different angle on it, was when I came to the center, right? When I first found the center years ago. And if you had asked me, I would have told you my life was just fine. Everything was good, right? Running my business, having my family, all of that stuff. But everything was just right on the edge of falling apart. And I walked into the center and I found this amazing place. And then everything did, look like it was done. And the great metaphor was that the third hurricane to hit that year, when I was sitting there praying that the tree would fall on my house and just give me that giant do-over. And
Oh,
and it didn't
yeah.
happen. The tree was swaying back and forth. I was like, please, I'll get on the other side of the house. Just take it. Let me start again. And then waking up the next morning and like, oh crap, here I am.
The house is still here.
It's
It's
still
still here.
here. The problems are still here. But it was just that moment of reckoning and awakening, and that I could use these amazing tools that I got, and
Mhm.
pull myself out of that, and really, started on a new, a new trajectory, a whole new trajectory.
Yeah. But it's the taking what you already have and then looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Because we get caught up in the what we think it should be, especially if we're comparing ourselves to others. This is what I should have. This is where I should be. Why don't I do this? And then all of a sudden something like that happens. You're like, man, I didn't get my do-over, but you did get the do-over.
Yeah.
You got a new perspective on what you already had
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't get a tree that fell on your house. You
Exactly.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny that was like, I don't know, over 15 years ago. And so here's a part of the story maybe you haven't heard, that the thing with my business partner at the time really felt like a huge betrayal, like a stab, And I was angry, to be honest with you, for years. It
Yeah.
took me years to get over that. And I don't know, but I'm guessing there might be some people who are listening today that might have something like that in their lives, right? The ex-business partner or the ex-spouse, or that person who really did them wrong, and still kind of carrying that stuff around. And it's not till, so fast forward, that's 2004, I think. Here we are, 2021, and I had an incident happen just a couple of weeks ago that felt again like that. Stab, right?
Mhm.
Betrayal. It was different. It was not as dramatic as the first time around, but I felt all that same stuff come up again, right? Anger, betrayal, all of that. And this time it was like, ooh, I don't like that, right? Like I'm holding on to this red hot coal, and when I got my wits about me, it was like, I'm not holding this for a second more than I need to, and I let that mess go, and it was so freeing. And at the same time, so amazing to look at myself and how I have changed in these years, right? Of just releasing.
That's what the teaching does. That's what it does. And you don't even realize you've changed until something like that happens. And then you're like, the way I would have handled this before is definitely not the way I'm handling it now. And you feel the same feelings, but then you're like, oh, what is this unfamiliar thing? Oh, it's familiar, but and they're like, no, I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing this way. And it changes like that. But it's that work. You've been flexing that muscle all these years and didn't even know it.
Right. I mean, I kind of knew I was doing it, but it was really an awakening and just wow. Like it made me remember when I first found this teaching and I was so excited and felt like I need to share this with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it was so life altering for me. Just the idea that I am responsible for my own happiness, not my husband, not my business partner, not any of my circumstances, but just me. Like taking that responsibility changed everything.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, at some point you have to take the burden off of your friends and family. It's a huge burden we put on people and like, oh yeah, you gotta help me, make me feel happy. But they can't. They're gonna fall short.
Yeah.
They
So
can't
tell
hold
us,
it.
do you have a clean slate moment and what that was like moving through it for you?
Um, I think my clean slate moment was when we first went to New York for the pandemic. We were like, the kids are all grown, everybody's moved away. Mom was okay where she was, and I was like, I'm ready for some adventure. Let's do it. And then boom, the pandemic thing happened. I was like, I'm a nurse. I can go help and I could make money. Win-win. So went to New York and it was so exciting just being there. It was terrifying because nobody knew what we were walking into. And so it was so terrifying. But the excitement of just saying, wow, I'm in New York. Wow, Empire State Building as we were driving by, nobody was on the streets. It was like this weirdness. And I was like, oh my God. And when we went to Times Square and walked down Times Square and I looked at the ball, because I've always wanted to go when the ball was dropping for New Year's Eve and you watch it on TV and it's this huge thing. And when you're standing there and you're looking at this little thing that looks like a basketball, and I'm like, that's the ball? But all of that happened because I made a conscious decision to say yes, even though I was terrified, even though we had no clue what we were walking into, and it could have been really dangerous. I could have lost my life. I could have brought it home. We lost mom and I wasn't able to come home. All these things that happened, I could have dwelled on that, but all I remember is the excitement and just what happened in my life as a result of just saying yes and just jumping in.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a moment where I was like, this is a different life than what I had before. What I had before was, it was great, but it wasn't this.
Yeah.
Everything changed after New York.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's, it's risky, right? That
Oh yeah.
state that's starting over again. It's risky and there's all of the things that go along with risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think people feel like courage maybe is that you don't feel fear, right?
Mm.
Courage really, is feeling the fear and doing the thing you're afraid of anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
It almost feels like there's more fear. I don't know, like right before you go into it, because it's so much easier to just run away because the fear
yeah,
stops, but there's so much more fear right before you jump off. Like you feel the fear and you're like, oh crap, fear is here. And then, oh no, it's more and more and more and more and more until you jump off. Or you say, crap, fear is here, feel a little bit and then turn around and run away.
right.
So you have to go through that fear to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And that's the part. Oh,
Yeah.
lots of doubts, lots of chatter.
Right. And it's awesome. Your takeaway is the excitement of it. But like you said, I mean, you lost your mom. Norma lost her mother figure in all of that. So there was a lot of pain that you worked through.
Yeah.
But
And
also, like the warrior that you are, right, was not to run away from it, but to dive right into that thing, that experience.
Yeah. And it was, I think, probably one of the most, if I had to choose a way, you know, I think that the way that mom transitioned was beautiful in the way it unfolded, because it allowed my daughter to grow up. She was the one that was at the bedside. She was the one folding the clothes and cleaning up her room and all of that. It's a grown up thing to do. So to have a young person stepping in like that, it built her grown up muscles, on top of the fact that I had to learn to just let go and not have control. And that was something that I did not have a choice, because and you were on the phone call with me. I have to get home, mom asked for me, but I didn't have a choice. I would have been looking on the other side of a window, waving, and she would have never even seen me anyway, and just be able to say, wait a minute, where's the beauty here? And then I learned that amazing tool of just stepping into the allness through meditation and speaking with her. Because again, the teaching says that all of it's God. So why do I have to be physically there with her? And I had never learned that tool. And I got a chance to really dive into the teaching that way and to really recognize the allness. And when I was able to do that, everything changed. And even now, anytime I start to feel alone or fear, because I had a lot of fear around being alone, I'm never alone now. Never.
Wow. So, I think you really just spoke to what I wanted, the next point that I wanted to make was the value of cultivating the clean slate, right? Like, what is the upside of that, right? Of that do-over. And I think you just said it, right? It's that greater expansion, greater expression of who you are.
Correct. I would have never known my own power had I not dove in. And it was only uncomfortable in that moment. It was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. But one of my new sayings is like, it's just a drop in the bucket of time. Because if I was when I'm in that moment, I say, okay, this is so painful right now, but 10 years from now, I might not even remember this moment. It's just a drop in the bucket. I have all these amazing moments, and the pain of this moment is so temporary. I just have to wait for it. I can even hold on to it, or I can just recognize that it's just a drop in the bucket. Yeah. And that's when I do the reset. Like, whatever that moment is, I get back to where I need to be. So for you, it's walking in the woods. For me, it's I come home from work and I touch the big tree out front. And I just allow that tree to just soak up, just touching the bark, like, reminds me of what's true. And what's true is trees grow. Sun rises, sun sets, the tide comes in and out. And whatever it is that's upsetting me, it's temporary. Yeah. Just a drop.
Just a drop. Yep. Yep. So, for people to think about what they have at their disposal for practices, right? For getting through those difficult times. So, when you're looking at the clean slate, we've already talked fear, right? Sometimes there's regret, and it's not all bad stuff either when you get the clean slate. Sometimes you're just coasting along, life looks great, and bam, you lose your job. Bam, somebody dies. And you want to still hold on to that good or to that love or to whatever it was that you felt, and you feel like now it's gone and it's been ripped away from you, right?
Without your choice. So
you didn't have a choice about it. And those are the harder ones, for sure, yeah. Right? When you get that clean slate and it's not your decision to have it be that way. But we can still find the joy, the treasure, the benefit, the gift that is in those experiences too. It's just a matter, then you have to work through all of the emotional stuff, all of the baggage that goes with that. Right? So you already mentioned, my practice, walking in the woods, right? You have yours. Any other stuff that you do? Other people doing?
Well, I do Reiki. I can always Reiki something. When I feel like I don't have control, I just send Reiki energy to it. Reiki has been an amazing tool for me. I wish I could say I do meditation well, but I don't. Sitting still for a long time doesn't. But mindfulness practices,
Yeah.
being mindful of the breath, being mindful. A lot of times when I feel like I'm completely out of control, I put my hands on my heart, and just the fact that my heart is beating and I don't have to control that, the same way I start to think of this experience is happening, and guess what? I don't have to control it. And just know that there's a greater power behind it controlling. And all I have to do is breathe or just be. And the heart's going to beat.
Yeah.
It's going to beat, and I'm going to breathe, and it's okay wherever I am. And I use that a lot, especially at work when it's really hectic and I'm feeling overwhelmed as a nurse. I just kind of stop right before I go into a patient's room. I stop and I take a couple of breaths. And then I walk in and I say, oh, hey, God, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
You know, and then the patient looks at me and whatever it is that experience is, and it's almost as if you're saying, tell me your story, is what I tell people. What's your story? Because that's what it is. They just need to tell their story. And that's how I feel like when I accept and I just let it wash through me. And that's also where the Reiki practices come in. And I'm not going to lie to you, the biggest practice I do, spiritual mind treatment, child. That right there, powerful. If you want to manifest, powerful. I can't even begin to describe what treatment does. It's like using a magic wand. It just seems to be like the most magical thing ever. And I don't have to control it or know how it works. I just know it works.
Yeah. And, and when you're not in a space to do it for yourself, right, to be able to reach out to somebody else and say, hey,
Yes.
I need you to speak truth. I need you to speak possibility. I need for you to see beyond what I can see right now, because I can't do it for myself in this moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And there's actually pre-done mind treatments online that you can plug in, and a topic and a practitioner. I mean, there's so many practitioners and ministers all over the world that will be like, bam, and they're speaking truth. And you're saying, oh yeah, that's the truth. God is everything. Oh yeah, I'm good. And some are short, some are long, some are, I mean, it's just incredible tool that you can use, because sometimes you're in it and you may not have a buddy you can reach out to because they may be at work, or it might be in the middle of the night and you're freaked out, whatever it is, you always have a lifeline.
Yeah. So one of the practices that came out of this year for me, and I don't know if this has a name, it might, maybe somebody has called it something, but when I got COVID, my big reset button, boom. And I was sitting there literally thinking, when I was feeling so sick, and do I need to go to the hospital? And, that this thing could take me out, this could be it. There were moments when I laid there just really thinking I could die from this illness. Now, of course, it's one of the things we all have in common, right? We all have that expiration date. It's not a question of if it's going to happen, it's when, right? Mm-hmm. So that, I think, is one of the biggest fears that we all look at as human beings. And what the experience of COVID had me do was to look at, like, right in the face, to look at that, that idea, that realization that one day I'm not going to be here, Mm-hmm. So then it's like, if I come out of this, well, when I did come out of it, looking at my priorities and making sure that everything is lined up how I want it to be. Am I living in integrity and and attention to the things that I have put value on, not somebody else, but what I say is important to me. Mm-hmm. And that has me looking, sometimes I do it for a few days in a row. I just look at this and think, well, what if today was my last day? Mm. What if tonight I put my head on the pillow and that was it? Would this thing bother me right now? Right? Would I be upset about that thing? Would I still, would I be arguing with my husband, or would I be angry at this one, or would I be carrying on in this way? It's like,
no.
It's very easy to put that stuff to the side when you look at the bigger picture of your life and, what you're about. So for me, it was really a powerful thing to look at that big, scary idea of one of these days I'm not going to be here, and just actually keep it in front of me.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I've been too. Like I said, New York kind of did that to me, because you're surrounded by so much death. when we were at Elmhurst, and just people were dropping at, at any moment. So coding, having people code on a shift was like, oh, there it goes. You hear the code and you're running, you become desensitized after a while to it all. And death just becomes oh, we tried, couldn't keep them. Oh, we tried, couldn't keep them. And then it became like, life became like this surprise, like, whoa, this patient lived. Oh my God, there was this moment of elation. And I'm like, wait a minute, I get a chance to do this on a regular basis. And that's why when patients come in and they are at that moment of, oh my God, they can transition, it's scary for the family, but for them, and some of them struggle. And I'm like, it's just something new. It'll be okay. I whisper in their ears, it'll be okay. I'm right here with you. You're not alone. It's all right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. We all have the little angel in our ear saying, it's okay. You're not alone. It's all right. And if you always just know that being a part of everything, the angel in your ear can be anything. It could be the bird on the windowsill. It could be the very sunrise or sunset. It's okay. You're not alone. You're all right. And the minute you recognize that all of life is here supporting you, then you can just relax into the experience, whatever that experience may be. And death is a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. Some people struggle, and the body follows suit too, But for those who are like, I had a wonderful, amazing life, they just relax. And then it becomes sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's a practice. It must be. It has to be. In fact, I'm thinking now there's some Buddhist, I'll have to look that up though and see, what the name is for doing this. But the idea that, of looking at that thing, that scary thing, and looking at death and making it your companion. So it's not a thing that you're terrified of, right? But that, it stays in front of you to keep you in integrity and keep you on track and keep you going the direction you want to go.
Correct. And that's the thing. I can't think of any bigger, fear than that being blinked out at any moment. So why not everything else that we're afraid of say, is this as bad as death? And if the answer is no, then I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, speaking.
Because I'm telling you, when you face death like that all the time, constantly, and it's like, is this thing more than that? No. Is this more than the pandemic that we had to deal with? No. No, honey, we'll be all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then you can ask yourself, well, what would I do if I had no fear?
Oh,
isn't that a great question? That's another practice, right? When you're faced with that thing, that trauma, that drama, that question, what would I do if I had no fear?
Right? I like the other one too that says that if money was no object, what would I be doing this particular thing?
Yeah.
Let's say that I had $1 million to my disposal. What would I be doing in this moment? Would I be arguing with this person? Would I be, I like doing that too. Yeah. Or would I actually purchase this? Do I really need it? If I had all the money in the world, would I buy it? Yeah. Just because I want it? Or is it going to serve some kind of purpose in my life?
Yeah.
And then the same thing. Make a decision from that. Does it feel good? Does it feed my soul? Is it here for the expansion of how I show up in the world? For this experience that is my humanity in this moment? Is it supporting whatever my dream is? And if the answer is no, it's okay to just let it go.
That's to me a mini version of coming back to the clean slate every time, just coming back to a new moment. Like the old me would have handled it this way, that way. The old me loves to buy things just compulsively. The old me, does this, that, and the other. And when you can be present in that moment and ask for what the moment needs, what's being called for you in that situation, and you're no longer tied to what you used to be or how you used to do things or how anybody else wants you to do it. You can just be from that pure possibility place and do what needs to be done in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good place to
So
be.
cool. Yeah. And guess what? We have that every single second of the day. That
Every
that clean slate every single second. It's a new moment. What are you gonna do? It's a new moment. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, I think, compassion that's involved in that too, right? Self-compassion,
Oh yeah.
compassion for other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the incident I was telling you about, where I felt that kind of backstabbing, and I knew the other person was kind of looking at like I was the one, that was the betrayer, and I felt really bad about it, like to have brought pain into somebody else, not by any intention whatsoever. It was just the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to release myself from that, and say that we're all doing the best that we can.
And that's the piece right there. Like I ask myself, especially if I hurt someone, I stop and I say, did I do that with intention? And then just make different choices the next time because you see the result.
Yeah,
Oh, the last time I did this or the last time I said this, and take responsibility for you and what you do and how you show up. And then come from that space that is oneness and love. And if you can always come from that space, then the right choices will come because guess what? We're God expressing, and the God energy inside of me will come forward. And
right.
I believe that God's never wrong. It's just we put our own humanity in there and we start to come from our old experiences and our old fear and our old everything. And we make choices from that. But if we're making choices from, Eddie Watkins says, what would love do now?
Yeah,
What would love do in this moment?
right.
Unconditional love, not the conditional love that we think,
Hmm.
but unconditional love, open hearted love. What would love do? And if
Yeah,
you're coming from that, and if somebody receives it in a negative way because of wherever they're at, then it doesn't become you and it's not your responsibility how they receive it. It's your responsibility of how you give.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, I play life, and I know you do too, this way. Like, not only am I responsible for what I put out there, but I'm also responsible for how people receive it. Now, that's just the game. That is the standard that I hold myself to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that can create a whole lot of drama, right? If you hold on to that too much,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
codependence, like I'm responsible then for your happiness or whatever, and that's not true. But I do try to carry myself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have done my best to express my intention and my genuine love, and my joy, and it's not taken that way, then I can release,
Correct.
let that go.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I
And
mean,
know,
yeah, we're responsible for saying, that's where that love comes in, right? If you say, if love is given wholeheartedly and freely, and the other person, if you are thinking about the compassion of, if that was me, how would I feel? And you're coming from there, then you do what you can. And then you just let go of how it's received, you
right.
know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you forgive yourself if you mess up. And that's the thing. It's like you're gonna step on some toes and you're gonna upset people and you're gonna, mess up. But then you say, I'll learn from that and make a different choice next time.
Yeah. And make that a practice.
Mm-hmm.
There's another little practice. I think probably people have heard this, the Ho'oponopono,
Yes.
right? Which
Yes.
is before you go to sleep at night, to go through your day and just think about your day. And is there anyone that you hurt, anyone that you need to ask forgiveness, including yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And you release that, and then you give thanks
Mm-hmm.
every day, kind of like brushing your teeth or taking a shower, washing your face, whatever. It's like washing your heart, washing your
Mm-hmm.
mind, and giving yourself that reset so you can start the next day with that clean slate.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love listening to Karen Drucker's version of Ho'oponopono because it's a song and it just kind of plays on repeat in your head, and then you're just like, yeah, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. It's just awesome.
So what are the lyrics for people to hear it?
Oh man, I have to grab it
Okay.
to get it. But I can definitely put it in the chat or on Zoom. We can have it on Zoom
Zoom. Yes, after
afterwards.
this on Zoom, on the Zoom.
Yeah.
So thank you for moving that along. So the next part of it's just about time for us to wrap up this part of our conversation. But just want to let people know that on Zoom at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to be doing some visioning for CSL Ocala.
Mm,
And that is yet another one of those practices, right? To get to that
yes.
plate, to release what no longer serves us and open ourselves to the clean slate of possibility and see what is wanting to be born here. What is the next iteration of CSL Ocala as we come back from this great pause that we
Hmm.
have with COVID? And I don't know, when exactly that is going to happen. May not be for several months yet, but I want for us to. We're going to be starting that process of visioning and inviting anybody who wants to be part of that conversation to join
Yeah.
us on our Zoom call at 4 o'clock.
Yes, you don't want to miss that. That's an amazing practice. And what's great about it is it takes it out of your hands. I love visioning because it's what spirit's highest and best.
Yeah.
And what drops in, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And a lot of times it's something you never thought about or wouldn't even come up. And then all of a sudden spirit says, oh, here you go.
Yes. Yeah. And for people who haven't done it before, the way it works is that we're going to all be on the Zoom call, and there'll be a series of questions that that we'll ask after doing a centering and kind of meditative prayer, and then we see what spirit has in store. So there'll be the questions, and people will be writing down their answers, and then as a group, we'll be looking collectively to see what answers are coming out. And more often than not, there are themes, right, Donna? Like
Yes.
people
You'd be
have
like, oh, I can't.
words. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. We're
the
seeing the
same
same
stuff.
thing, we're getting the same images, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really kind of a cool process to do as community.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
It's
you can
really,
always do this on your own for your own life, but there's something really special about it when you do it with a group of people.
yeah. It works really well for birthdays too. I had never thought about that until our daughter was like, I want to do a visioning as a family for her birthday when she turned 21. And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? Where do I go with my life? Let's do a visioning. Like, I hadn't thought about that. So every birthday, you can do a visioning. What
Yeah,
about the next year? What's spirit's highest and best for my next year?
right.
It's such a beautiful practice, and I'm glad we have it.
Yeah.
Tools in the arsenal, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we gave people a few tools today, right? To keep in their back pocket when that clean slate shows up, whether it's by choice or it is thrust upon you,
Mhm.
right? To do the cleansing of your heart and minds, the Ho'oponopono. We've got spiritual mind treatment. We have time in the silence, right? To mindfulness. We have whatever this thing is where you actually keep, the thing in front of you that your time here on earth is limited, right?
Mhm.
And visioning.
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 And don't forget touching a big tree in front of your yard.
Touching a picture. Yes, good nature. I can't.
Walking into nature and sitting outside with a cup of coffee. Anytime we can just kind of step back into nature and just connect to our place on the planet, and just being aware of where the space we take up,
Yeah,
not just the story that we're living.
right. Making the most of it. So any closing thought about the clean slate? Anything else we want to leave people with?
That
Hmm.
every clean slate is a gift.
Hmm.
It's a little package wrapped up beautifully. And you can either, it's like that package shows up on your doorstep and you take a hammer to it and beat the crap out of it, or because you think you know what's in it, or you slowly unwrap it and enjoy the moment.
Yeah, nice, Donna. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Yes, here,
Oh,
Ho'oponopono. Let me see if there's any questions or
yeah.
comments here on the side.
And Norma said, Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
That's it. So easy. So easy to do that every night. Yes. What else do we have here? Powerful words. Hi, Nancy. Patty
Hi.
Ferguson. Clarissa was with us. Lita. I can't
Raul.
like oh, you know what? I just want to say shout out to Rich Jensen, who is our tech guru and board president and just awesome person. He's taking a Sunday off, so I'm not sure if everybody is getting answered here, and I apologize if you have not been acknowledged. But just thanking everybody for being here, and hope that they will join us for the session afterward for our visioning.
And special shout out to your Phoenix is Rising group. That is
Yeah.
our group, and anybody that's on that group watching right now, just I love y'all. My heart.
Yes, yes. Oh, there's Mary Lou. Love you too, Mary Lou. So we will see you afterward. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I have to take you out so I can put the prayer in. So remove from the broadcast for the moment, and then I will see you in a few minutes.
I'll see you in the field.
All right, Donna. Thank you. Love you. Yeah. All right. So it is time for our sacred giving. Time for sharing our gifts and tithes, and let me run that little banner across the bottom here. So, if the work that we do at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala resonates for you, if it uplifts you, helps you get through your week a little bit better, we just invite you to give to the center, to give. And we're just really so grateful for everybody that does support our work here. We don't get money from anywhere else. Our funds and the way that we are able to keep this center going is through the generous donations of the people that believe in our vision and mission. And so we've made it really easy for people to give to the center. You can text to tithe. That means you go on your cell phone and you text to this phone number 352-320-5110, and you put in the amount of money that you would like to donate to the center, hit send, and it goes right from your account into ours. Or you can donate via PayPal at cslocala.org/donate. And so our affirmation, I invite you to say it along with me. Just kind of hold your hand to your heart. It is the nature of life to give of itself. As it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. And I know that each and every one of you is a wonderful blessing in this world, love and light. And I'm just so grateful for our spiritual community. Love you all. Let me put a little message up here. Our visioning is today. That will be happening at 4 o'clock on Zoom. It won't be more than an hour for sure, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 45 minutes. That is going on today. And let me see what else I want to leave you with. A couple of quotes. I forgot to put up some quotes here. Here is one from Emerson that goes along with our talk for today. Finish each day and be done with it. You've done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can, for tomorrow is a new day. And then we have Meister Eckhart. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. That is the idea behind the Clean Slate. One journey, many paths. And so I'm going to leave you with an affirmation for today. I am open to the promise of a clean slate, which is held in each moment. Once again, I am open to the promise of a clean slate, which is held in each moment. And so that brings us to our closing prayer. which you probably all know already. It comes from James Dillett Freeman and our sister organization at Unity. And it is, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I just affirm for each one of you watching us, everyone within the sound of my voice, that life is good and getting better all the time. And I just affirm that those of you who have that clean slate before you, whether it is by your choice or a clean slate that has been thrust upon you, that you find the gifts and the joy that is inherent in starting with fresh mind and open heart. And so I hope you all have a fabulous week and look forward to seeing at least a few of you on Zoom at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Love and blessings to each one of you.